What's crazy is that when couples are asked what their main issue is, you know what they say? Communication or stress. But when researchers they dig and they dig and they dig, they find that emotional and physical intimacy has already been compromised long before those surface problems even appear. Intimacy is not what couples complain about first.
Welcome to the space where we tell our truth. Testimony, healing, breaking shame loose. Learning our bodies and walking by faith. Intimacy God's way, right here is the place. Sex-Ed for Saints, Mondays at 6. We believe in the power of the story. Not just pain, but redemption and glory. Faith in the rhythm, hearts in the mix. Trust in educators. Mondays at 6, we're overcoming by the word of these testimonies. People getting free when we speak what's holy. Healing in our hearts, shame starts to split. Every story told, another chain gets stripped. Learning our bodies, learning His way. Intimacy and faith, walking day by day. This is where we heal, where the truth sticks. Sex-Ed for Saints, Mondays at 6.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to the Sex Ed for Saints podcast. I'm so excited to be in front of you today just to speak a little bit about, some things that has been placed on my heart. I want to tell you about an experience that I had last night where I was able to get together with a group of women who, one of the business communities that I am a part of, we get together every other week and we go over strategies and hold each other accountable for some of the things that we are doing in life and all of the things. And we decided, well, one of the members decided to put together a Friendsmas, right? This is the Christmas season. We only have 2 weeks left in this year. And we just wanted to get together. And, one of the greatest gifts that you can give to yourself is the gift of community and placing yourself in environments that will help you to grow, accelerate all the things. And so we got together and we decided to do a strategy meeting for 2026. Let me tell you, it was very intense. It was organized. It was intentional.
Hey, friends, quick pause in this lesson because I need to put you onto something that has been blessing so many households. This episode has been sponsored by Covenant Eyes, the accountability app that helps you protect your eyes, your mind, and your marriage. If you're serious about keeping your digital life pure, guarded, and God honoring, Covenant Eyes is a game changer. It helps you to stay accountable online and creates a safe space for your heart and your home. And listen, because you are a part of the Marriage Lab, you get 30 days free when you use my code Marriage Lab. So go ahead, take that step, cover your devices, and cover your covenant.
And we ended up with a burning session where, we put all of the things that we don't want to take into 2026 and we burned it all. We burned it all of the fears, the doubts, the insecurities, the procrastinations, the overthinking, all of that. We burned it all. Let me tell you, it was impactful. It was life changing. It was one of those things that is absolutely necessary, which is why I'm so grateful for community. But one of the biggest takeaways that I did have was that you have to be so intentional about the life that you want to create. You have to be intentional about the rooms that you place yourself in. You have to be intentional about accountability and what that looks like, and placing yourselves in environments that is going to allow you to accelerate. If you feel like you can do all things on your own, you will never accomplish anything you want to accomplish, because we need that accountability. We need that accountability. And I realized that, during my whole process, especially 2025, of me trying many times to do it on my own, is that I just can't. I just can't. And I realize and I recognize that one of those things, those one of those areas where I am completely vulnerable is when I have to deal with issues of me. And so I had to position myself to be uncomfortable in rooms that will call me out for the things that I feel I want to do. And a lot of times you can become uncomfortable in these spaces because people are questioning the things that you thought about in your head. And when you actually speak it out loud, You have a moment to process it. Allow others to say how they see it and not just what you see in your head. And then when it comes out, it helps you to refine and redefine what it is that you are actually doing. And that's important. And so I just want to talk a little bit about, the meeting that we had last night. This is not going to be a long, drawn out podcast. It's really just helping to understand that we really have to get our shift together, right? We have to. And so I know that I'm on my way to a new level of helping individuals truly understand what the marriage lab is. And right now, I'm on a platform where people do not realize that they need help. Whether you are in a healthy relationship or an unhealthy relationship, stats show that intimacy is the number one issue that is showing up in relationship. It shows up above stress, it shows up above finances. And what the issue is that I'm realizing is that when it does show up, it shows up in a point in your marriage where you have already given up, or you're not actually talking about the issue. Instead, you are suffering quietly, or you have already been considering a divorce.
Have you joined the waitlist for my brand new book, Hey God, Can I? This is your go-to ABC guide for married saints. Bring your questions about God, sex, and intimacy. This isn't just a book. It's a resource to help you grow spiritually while strengthening your marriage bed. So if you've ever wondered what God really says about sex and intimacy, this book is for YOU. Tap the link, sign up for the waitlist, and be the first to know when it drops. Don't wait, sis. Get on the list today.
And so this is where the marriage lab comes in, because the goal of the marriage lab is to help couples to restore intimacy. The goal of the marriage lab is to help couples to build stronger marriages and to help create a church culture that disciples couples in a way that actually sets them up for success. I know a lot of people talk a lot of people think that if you speak about these things openly, then it's going to make people uncomfortable, or it's going to promote sinful behavior, all the things. But if you don't speak about them openly, healing can't happen within your relationship, your marriages, and people won't confront the issues that they have. I know I've been in many environments. Let me tell you something about this thing that I'm doing. It's not even a thing, but I obviously I'm doing this because this is something that God is leading me to do. I can talk about sex openly all day. I can talk about it morning, noon, and night. It's actually the thing that I speak about, think about constantly. And when I tell you that it's very uncomfortable to be in this position, because I know that this is something that God calls me to. It's not something that I desire to do on my own will. I was on a path to go to law school. I was on a path to go to law school. I was definitely on a path to go to law school. And during that time, I was unsettled. I was uncomfortable in my own positioning in my marriage. And I was on a mission to discover how I could be benefited. And so I went on this journey. And this is where God led me to, because I was determined to not I was determined to not stay in an environment where I would be uncomfortable in my marriage because I didn't know how to confront the issues that I had going on. And when I say issues, I'm not talking about, because me and my husband never struggled with any issues in terms of us and the relationship and the intimacy that we had. I struggled with I struggled with issues of the past, that the baggage that I had that I carried into my marriage. And the one thing that I did not have during that time was resources. I did not have people that I could go to. I did not have people that I could communicate with about the issues that I had, because there were none. There were none. It was the same information no matter where I turned, because and I don't want to say this offensively. However, however, people were not qualified to be able to give me the information that I needed. They weren't qualified. And so from that aspect, I went on my own journey and trying to understand, God, what are you really trying to say about intimacy and marriage? What are you really trying to say? How could this benefit me? How could this benefit me? And so learning about the issues from a biblical perspective, understanding God's design and all the things, this is what was able to help me. It gave me such, I was able to find so much information that it secured my confidence in God and his design. And it made me appreciate my spouse more. It made me understand intimacy even more. And I no longer struggle with the issues, right? I no longer struggle with these issues. And now if there is something that comes up, I know where to go to. And that helps me 1000%. And so I'm not trying to be a gatekeeper of this information. I'm trying to share it through podcasts, through conversations, through various topics, through being more intentional about what it is that I'm actually doing. Right. And so this is why I'm here. And what I realize is that I'm not responsible for people who are uncomfortable. Let me tell you, it it is very uncomfortable to be in a position where you know God has led you to, but you are rejected everywhere you go because of the topic that you're speaking about. I have even when it comes to family, I have shared podcasts and groups and this and they would come back and say, "Oh, this is too uncomfortable for the old people." Right? People have questioned the name and questioned this and question I've people some churches will be like, "Hey, Tammy, come and bring your products." Or some would say, "Hey, don't bring anything at all." Right? And it's not even about that, because as long as I can get in the room to have the conversation to help people with information that's going to benefit them, product or no product, it doesn't matter. As long as they are hearing the information that they know makes them uncomfortable, and I can deliver it in a way where they can understand that there is truth in it, because that's what I'm responsible for. Not your discomfort, but making sure that I am delivering truth that can heal, so that you can steward it well. Anyways, I'm rambling, but last night was a reminder of this, because impact requires intention. And in order for you to grow, you need to be within proximity of others who are growing, so that they can challenge you to think differently. And so I spend a lot of time in these rooms because I'm in such a niche area that I need to know how to be creative, and I need accountability to help me stay motivated, because I'm in such a difficult space trying to deliver information that I know that you need. I'm in a space right now where I don't really care about how you perceive it anymore. I don't really care, because you either going to be healed or you're not. You either going to take in the information and steward it well, or you not. But my role is to deliver it to you. And however you receive that is not on me. That's your own experiences, your own convictions, convicting you of something that is probably going on internally. And so I'm not going to allow others to project what they feel onto me anymore, because I know the data. I've researched it for years. I have put the numbers together, and I've recognized that people have issues. How do I know? 2025 survey. They did a large number of people, whether you are in an unhealthy relationship or a healthy relationship, intimacy issues came up as the number one issue. I just said that. It doesn't matter if you are in a healthy relationship. When does it show up? It shows up when you are already considering divorce. It shows up after you have already suffered in silence. How do I know? Because I've been there. Matter of fact, research shows that 60% of couples are dissatisfied with their sex life in some way. How staggering is that? 60. Another key finding shows that sexual dissatisfaction is one of the top predictors of divorce, ranking higher than finances in multiple marital outcome studies for this year alone, 2025. And you know what's crazy is that when couples are asked what their main issue is, you know what they say? Communication or stress. But when researchers they dig and they dig and they dig, they find that emotional and physical intimacy has already been compromised long before those surface problems even appear. And so, what I'm trying to say is that intimacy is not what couples complain about first. It's not what couples complain about first. And so, in order for people to realize that they have a problem, it has to be spoken about. And so, I will broadcast Sex Ed for Saints all day just so that you can hear about an issue that you're not going to talk about later. But what you will do is come back to it and watch it quietly and Google it quietly or read it in a book quietly. And as you do that, I'm just going to say, Holy Spirit will do the rest. He'll be able to show you, like, hey, you need some help within this area because intimacy is showing up on the back end, not the front. And so this is what typically happens. Couples stop talking openly, then they begin to start feeling distant. They stop touching, they stop prioritizing connection, right? Then they're not even being intimate with each other. It becomes very far and few in between. And that's when things become a routine and then it becomes non existent. And then by the time someone is like, oh, we haven't connected, someone is already emotionally disconnected. And this is why intimacy issues often show up right before separation or divorce. Not because it's suddenly a problem, it's because it was neglected for years. I know people who have not had sex for years in a marriage. I have coached people who have not had sex for months at a time. They just live in the house and are roommates at this point. Why? Because they never confront the actual issues that they have going on. And nobody is giving them the language that they need in order to do so. And if they don't have the language, then they can't communicate that. And if they can't have the language, that means that they don't have the tools that's necessary. And if they're uncomfortable with it, then they're not going to speak about it because nobody is giving them permission to talk about it in a healthy way. Every time you think that there's an intimacy issue, it goes to insecurity. I'm insecure about talking about this thing because I wasn't raised to do so, or I was in an environment that taught me I'm not supposed to, or my church has embedded this purity message, this toxic message that made me feel like this area of life is not safe, right? And I want to talk a little bit about that real quick because I don't want anybody to think that I'm coming for the church or anything like that. But When intimacy is spoken about in churches, many times it's not done in a way to make people feel safe. I feel like they prepare you for your wedding, but not the actual marriage bed. Many times there are conversations about purity before marriage, but not many after the ones where you actually say, I do. And so it creates a silence that births shame, and shame creates isolation. When couples suffer quietly, they pray silently, they struggle privately. There was this one pastor, she used to say, get your private deliverance in a public place. In other words, get delivered from these things that you have going on privately in a public space, but don't talk about it. Talk about it amongst yourselves. Just 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 don't say it out loud. Say it privately, but get it resolved at the altar. But you know what happens? It doesn't get resolved. It doesn't get resolved. And this is why I'm passionate about what I do. And I know that, I'm still building a name for myself and getting myself out there so that people can understand, like, hey, this is what you actually have going on. This is why the podcast is not just content, it's ministry. And what I'm doing is helping marriages because I'm normalizing conversations around intimacy before something happens. I'm giving couples language for what they are feeling but cannot say out loud. We address intimacy as stewardship and not sin. We teach couples how to connect emotionally and physically early instead of repairing damage. The Marriage Lab focuses on prevention, restoration, and sustainability. It's not about surviving. And this is how we change this. How do we get our shift together? I'm so glad you asked. I'm so glad you asked. We stop waiting until intimacy is broken to talk about it. Ignoring intimacy issues causes marriages, and addressing them strengthens family. We want to see families strengthen, y'all. That's it. That's it. Intimacy is spiritual stewardship. Scripture reminds us in 1 Corinthians 7 that spouses are to give themselves to one another, not withdraw from one another. That's a biblical concept. We're supposed to be drawn to, not away, meaning that we're supposed to be communicating about the issues that we have. That's it. I was so glad to be in the room that I was in last night because imagine if I did not decide to do that. There have been so many women that could not even say the word sex. They couldn't say it. And because of something that I have showed them or something that they were able to pull from me, they're now comfortable in a way that they have not been before. They've now tried some things, they've now explored. They now understand themselves a little bit more and what God desires for their marriage. And to me, that's beautiful. And I would like to say that if I've reached that one person, then I've done well. But no, I need to reach more. I need to reach more because one is not enough. It's not enough. And so, in the room that I was in last night was a reminder of the importance of why I'm doing this in the first place. Why I'm doing this in the first place. Rooms like that, they matter. They matter. Community matters. Resources, they matter because no marriage thrives in isolation. Not one. And so I just wanted to share a little bit. I didn't want to keep you here long. It's been what, 26 minutes? I don't want to keep you here long, but I do want you to know that in 2026, I have podcasts that are lined up to be more intentional about spreading the message in a way that you're able to receive it. I do want you to know that the conversations that I'm having are catering to the data. The conversations that I'm having are catering to the data that is out there because I really want to position myself to have conversations that really matter. And so I want to encourage you to, I know that there are a lot of changes, I know that there are a lot of things going on, but I want to encourage you to stay with me, rock with me, continue to do so. I am grateful for the opportunities. I'm grateful for the audience and the growing communities. I'm grateful that you're tuning in. I'm grateful to see where this podcast is going because it's one of the things right now that is keeping me constant. And I am absolutely grateful for that. And so tune in, but don't just tune in, lean in and pay attention because intimacy is not a bonus in marriage, it is the foundational ground. And when you are intentional, intimacy becomes healthy, your communication improves, and stress becomes manageable. I promise you, that is where connection will deepen and that is where your shift will happen. Thank you all for listening into this episode. If you have enjoyed it, if you have learned anything from it, if you have liked anything that I've said, just like the episode, y'all. This is where it starts. This is where it starts by showing me that you are locked in. And so, like, subscribe, and share it. If you have heard something that you know somebody needs to hear, just share. Just hit that share button. Matter of fact, send it to 3 people. Send it to the last 3 people that you spoke to, and so that they can share it too. Thank you for tuning in to the Sex Ed for Saints podcast. Until next time, bye.
This is the space where hearts get mixed. Sex ed for saints, Mondays at 6. This is the space where hearts get free. Learning about